Hey guys, it's Kaylee from K-Books and I'm here with my wrap-up posts. So I had a bit of a technological glitch last month, so I didn't end up doing a vlog for my wrap-up post for December 2014. So I'm going to do that and then I'm going to do my wrap-up for January 2015. So here's the books that I read and reviewed in December 2014. The first book that I read was The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray, and I gave this one 4 stars. This is a 2015 debut. I got to read it early. It's not out until March or April time, but I got an ARC sent from the publisher. And this is a young adult fantasy book, and I loved it. I gave it 4 stars because it was just so fantastic. It was a great storyline, and I do think the second book is going to be phenomenal. But I find some fantasy series are a little bit slow in the start of the first book, just while they're building up that sort of world, and that's why it didn't get the full 5 stars. But it was absolutely excellent, and I'm really looking forward to the second book. Excuse me. The next book I read in December was an ebook. It was Inspire by Cora Karma. This is a new adult paranormal book, and I gave it 4 stars. I thought this was really slow at the start, and actually I was getting a little bit bored. But as I kept reading, I had to keep reading because it was Cora, and I love all of Cora's books, and she did not disappoint. I ended up loving it, and I'm really looking forward to the second one. The next book that I read was The Winner's Curse by Marie Rutkowski, and this is the first book in the Winner's Trilogy, I think the series is called. I so wanted to like this book, but I was so disappointed. I gave it 2 stars. I found it really boring. It was like, I finished the book, so that was good. Because if I do find books really boring, I just don't finish them. I DNF them and I move on to another book that I really want to read. But this, it did keep me reading, and it kept me there until the end. But it was just like, I knew something was coming and I knew something was going to happen, but it was just going on forever. And it's not even a thick book either, but it felt like it was going on forever. I was really bored. It picked up at the end. There was a bit of action there at the end, and it definitely made me want to pick up the second book in the series. So that was good, but yeah, I gave it 2 stars. The next book was an e-arc, and it was The Winner's Crime by Marie Rutkowski. This is the second book in the Winner's Curse, or the Winner's Trilogy, sorry, and I DNF'd it. I was looking forward to it because the end of the first book really had that sort of bit of action. I was really looking forward to it, and I thought the second book is going to be so much better. And it started off so much better. The first 50 pages or so, I was like, yes, this is so much better than the first one. And then it just dropped off again into utter boredom. And I thought, you know what, I'm just not invested. I didn't really like the main characters either. They were just annoying. So, unfortunately, that series was definitely not for me, and I ended up DNFing it. The next book I read was also an ebook, and it was #Nerd by Cambria Hebert, which is I don't know whether it's young adult or new adult, but it's a contemporary romance, and it was book 1 in the # series. I really liked this book. It was predictable. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I didn't even need to get halfway through to tell you what was going to happen, but it was cute. It was cute and it was fun, and sometimes you just want a cute, fun, predictable read, and if you do, that is the perfect book for you. I gave it 4 stars. I couldn't give it 5 stars because it was that predictable. I knew exactly what was going to happen before I even started it, really, just by reading the blurb. But I did really enjoy it, so it got 4 stars. And the last book I read in December was an ARC, and it was Collide by Melissa West. I beta read for Melissa. She is wonderful, and this is the 3rd book in the Taking series. I have been dying for this book for forever, and I loved it. it was a fantastic end to a series, and I gave it 5 stars. It was just wonderful. So my top 3 books of December 2014 were, number 3 was Inspire. 2 was The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray. And number 1, my favourite book of last month was It Had to Be Collide by Melissa West, because it was just fantastic. Okay, so here are the books that I read this month in January 2015. Unfortunately, this was a very, very slow month for me. I started my new full-time job, so I was finding it really, really difficult to find time to read. And then the week after that happened, I sadly lost my grandmother. She sadly passed away, and I was just not in the mood to be reading at all. I've actually only just started reading again yesterday, so at the very end of the month. So I did only read 3 books, but they were 3 great books. So the first book I read, I don't have the paperback with me at the moment because I've lent it to a friend, but it was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. This is the first book in her new series, which is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and I give it 5 stars. It was so, so, so good. I'm a massive fan of Sarah J Maas. I absolutely adore her, and I was really looking forward to this one, and it did not disappoint. I think with this one you can really tell the retelling story a little bit more, so it had more of that original story in it than, say, The Throne of Glass does with Cinderella, which is what that's based off. I loved it. I can't wait for the second one. It was just utterly phenomenal. I think I might even like it better than the Throne of Glass series. The next book I read was actually an audiobook, and it was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I gave this book 5 stars. I really, 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 really liked it. Like, that is how you do a new adult contemporary book. I find new adult contemporaries a little bit boring because they are exactly the same with a different character name, a different author, and a different title. But this just, I went along thinking, here we are, same old new adult book. But then there was a twist in it, and I was like, oh my god, now that's how you do a new adult book. It was different from everything else, and I loved it. It was my first Colleen Hoover book, and I really loved it. It was 5-star read for me, so I will definitely be picking up more of Colleen Hoover's books in the future. And lastly, this was the one I actually only finished yesterday, and it is Scarlet by A.C. Gallen. This has been sat on my shelf for forever, and I just never picked it up, and I loved it. This is a Robin Hood retelling, and it was so, so fantastic. Once I got over the not wanting to read after the family thing, I just couldn't put this down yesterday. I literally read from about there all the way through yesterday. It was utterly, and that was just on the night after I got home from work as well, because I didn't finish work until 5, and by 10 I'd finished it. It was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the second one, but the UK publisher hasn't actually published the rest of this series. So because I have this in paperback, I'm waiting for the second book, Lady Thief, I think it is. The US paperback is coming out in April, so I'm waiting until then before I buy it. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what else happens in this series because it was great. So that's all I read. Because I only read 3 books, I can't really do a top 3. So instead I'm just going to show you my favourite book of the month, and that was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. She's fast becoming one of my favourite authors of all time, right up there with JLA. And I just loved it so much, so naturally it has to be my favourite book of the month. So that's it for this month. See you next month with my wrap-up post for February, and I'm hoping that I will read a lot more books. So thanks for watching. Bye!